Welcome to the Real Estate Equation. I'm Ian with I Am Home Inspections. I'm here with my lovely co-host.
I'm Ms. Bushman with Guild Mortgage. How are you doing?
All right, today we're going to talk about the top 10 reasons buying a house in reality is not like HGTV. Starting with number 10, the budget is magically agreed on in 3 seconds. They just say, how much do you want to spend? And that's it. When the reality is,
you have to get approved for financing. So yes, there could be some cash buyers out there, definitely. But 99% of folks in this market today have to get approved. So you have to go through the pre-approval process. So the approval process is a credit, income, and asset review in advance before you make an offer on the house. That turn time can be anywhere from 1 to question mark. Depends on how fast the buyers want to move and give out their documents. So the approval process on the pre-approval can be as thorough as your lender goes. So come up with a budget magically, in 3 seconds, because let's be real, they only have 1 hour of tape that they're going to roll. So yeah, it's not very real.
True. Second one, the house always appreciates. They never talk about appraisals.
No, because they really don't care. Let's be honest. When you're on an HGTV show, they've already probably figured out, they've already done all their thorough, visual inspections, and they're buying the house, they're going to tear it down or they're going to do something with it. So they're just kind of banking on the market in the neighborhood. Right. But in reality, in IRL, real life, let's discuss appraisals. Appraisals are an order. Buyers pay anywhere from $500 and up, depending upon the size of the home and where they're purchasing. That's the cost. And then the turnaround time is anywhere from 3 business days to possibly 10, depending upon the market and how many appraisers are in the actual market to sustain the orders. So, yeah.
And so just to clarify to the viewer, the appraiser is going to come out and he's going to be independently assess the value of the home and determine for the lender if the value of the home is equal to or more than the agreed upon sales price.
Correct.
Or lending amount.
Correct. So a buyer's appraiser is going to go do an opinion of value. They have a copy of the contract, and mystery. Everyone goes, how did they get the exact number that I made the offer for? And that's because they have a copy of the contract with all seller concessions, real estate, commissions. So that information is not a mystery, but it is an opinion of value. And it's for the lender, because the lender, again, is going to be lending hundreds of thousands of dollars and hoping that the buyer repays it. They have to make sure that the structure is standing and in good condition before they're going to do a 30-year loan on it, for example.
Correct. All right. The next one, the one that drives me crazy. The inspections are always invisible. I'm talking about pest inspections. And every house should have an inspection before you purchase it, because that's where you're going to know, what's the condition of the electrical system, what's the condition of the plumbing, what's the condition of the roof, how well is this house built? They just never talk about that on TV process. They just completely ignore it. They just go right past it as if it doesn't even exist.
So tell us, what's the importance of an inspection?
Well, the importance is you need to understand what you're buying. Some people think inspections are for negotiations, and that can come up later. But the point of the inspection is that you fully understand the condition of the house or property that you're buying. So, does the air conditioner work? Is the electrical panel functional? Are the plugs and outlets and lights working? What's going on in the attic? What's going on in the crawl space? All those areas that you're never going to go on. What's going on with the roof? Because, the average person is not going to climb up on the roof, nor would they necessarily know what to look for anyway. So there's a lot of important things in inspections. And then outside of the home inspection that we do, you might have a pest inspection for wood-destroying organisms, termites and stuff. And there might be additional inspections beyond that, depending on the type of property.
So I'm smiling because I remember when you did my inspection on my house, and that was slightly 6 years ago, a little over 6 years ago. Ian came in and inspected my first house. And do you remember what you said to me?
I just remember
it was an old house. It is.
I just remember there was a portion of the attic that we could not find an access to, and you couldn't crawl across the attic to get to it. And there's a lot of evidence of rodent droppings that I could see with my flashlight, but couldn't get to. And that was my biggest worry, is what was going on in that mystery attic.
Well, the mystery attic we ended up gutting, and we had to do a restoration. So we had we did have a problem. Unfortunately, there was a pipe that was broken, and we had to not only redo the pipe to seal off the attic, but we hired a company and we spent about $10,000 to completely restore the attic. And you know what? I really want to do seances up there now. I really want to go up there, but it's one of those things where it's like, it's really small. So there's not a lot of room up there to even, let alone have a seance up there.
Your house was a bit of a fixer, so you really wanted to understand.
Yeah, it was.
You knew there was going to be issues because you knew it was a fixer.
Yep.
But you needed to understand what those issues were and what importance to put on different parts.
Yeah. So we're still working at it.
All
But
right.
we go back to the home inspection. I still have it. I go back to it and I go, did we miss anything? Because it becomes a staple of kind of things that you want to do to your house, improve it. May not need to be done right away, but
They never talk about inspections, any kind of inspections. They don't talk about home inspections.
it's very important to have that document to go back to.
Yes.
So
Which leads right into number 7.
every problem is cosmetic. Yes.
Yeah, this just drives me crazy about all these TV shows and HGTV. They're always going on about the counter tile, the backsplash, what kind of tile did they lay down in the bathroom, what counters are they using. And all that is nice and fresh paint is nice. The reality is you want to know what's going on, with the electrical system, what's going on with the roof, what's going on with the plumbing, what's going on in the attic, is there a crawl space, what's going on there, what's going on with the foundation. Right. And it's sometimes funny, you'll see them not even talking about this, and you'll see in the background after they get the house, there's a bunch of old wiring. They'll flip us to the next scene and they're installing something to get ready for the kitchen, and all of a sudden there's new wiring in the background, and you're like, wait a minute. They don't even mention any of that stuff.
Right.
So yeah, the biggest thing is all these TV shows, they only talk about cosmetics, and cosmetics are usually changed. It's the real pieces of the house that you want to be concerned with.
Right. Yeah. So going back to a home inspection, they're going to tell you what the problems are going to be on what they are currently. So, it's definitely something that you want to explore for sure. So let's move on to number 6. Nobody panics about the HVAC system. It's always a perfect temperature in every shot.
Yeah.
About that.
Well, it was funny, and they'll show people walking through the house, and it doesn't matter if it's hot outside or cold outside or what. It's always the perfect temperature in the house.
Yep.
Which bugs me sometimes, because you'll see them walking through a house and I'll see a mini split in the background, or I'll see a wall heater in the background. And that immediately tells me this house does not have central heat or central air. And, if it's in Southern California and you're not right by the beach and you don't have central air, you're probably going to be kind of miserable. And I pick up these things, and it's amazing how people just walk by them and they don't even comment. They don't even seem to notice. There's briefly a TV show, really bad TV show on HGTV called Home Inspector Joe. And I did a blog on it because in one scene at the beginning of the house, you see there's an HVAC duct in the hallway. And like, okay, so they have central air. And at the end, when they do the big reveal of the remodel, that duct is sealed up.
Oh.
And it's like, really? Did they just drywall over the vent?
They did.
Or did they move it? It's never talked about. It's like, go see my blog on IamHomeInspections.com. Look up Home Inspector Joe. You can see the photos of the still I took of the TV. Of how they just completely bypass the HVAC system. And it's always crazy, they walk through these houses and they talk about, well, we want to put in a new tile here and a new countertop there. Maybe we'll change these cabinets. But nobody's looking to say, hey, is that air conditioner 20 years old? Is it full of rust? Does it need to be replaced? Because that could potentially cost you a lot more.
Yeah. There's one house we almost purchased that did not have HVAC. It had it all ready to go, but after the remodel, they never upgraded it or put it back. So didn't know that, because everything else is so shiny and pretty. And then you get home and you go backwards and you go, hey, wait, where was that? And then something we actually were going to split, but we decided not to move forward with that house anyways. There are homes in the valley, San Fernando and San Gabriel, that still to this day don't have central air.
There was actually a house not too far from here, and the listing said included air conditioning. So the buyer thought they were going to get an air conditioning. When we got there to do the inspection, there's no air conditioner.
No air conditioner.
And guess what? The seller of the listing agent had to buy an AC because they advertised it came with one and it didn't.
Interesting.
Yes.
You got them. Your buyer's one.
So let's continue with our top 10 reasons buying a house is not like HGTV.
All right, number 5. Everyone's obsessed with charm.
Charm. And you'll see this time, you'll see, oh, the wife wants charm. And the husband's like, well, but if we buy a charming old house, I'll have to do some repairs. No. If you buy a really old house, you're not dealing with, oh, I'm going to have to do some minor repairs around the house. You're potentially talking about really old foundations that aren't safe for earthquakes. You're talking about potentially old wiring that's going to cost tens of thousands of dollars to replace. You're potentially talking about old electrical panels. Those are a few thousand to replace. You might be talking about really old plumbing. Like these old charm houses, they come with a lot of work. Mm-hmm. And, I've inspected them and some people like, right, I want the charm. I'll take it anyway. And it's like, I said to one person after the end of the inspection, it's a great house as long as you wear a sweater, don't breathe the air, and pray there's never another earthquake. Because other than that, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, so there are fixer-uppers out there that do have a lot of charm. And then there's a lot of, I like to watch those fixer-upper shows because the turnkey houses, look at me. I don't look like everybody else. So the fact that I would proceed with a house that needs a little bit of work or has that charm, yeah, that's something that's definitely I would be interested, but comes with the fact that there are things that are old and that there are things that need to be fixed up. So those, I
love a good historic house, but I also know that it means a little more than just a few repairs.
Yeah, it's not going to be brand new. You're going to hear creaks. You're going to, the windows aren't going to be, your standard. Well, they could be standard dual pane, but they're going to have that rustic look. So being obsessed with charm, yeah, it's all produced.
Yeah,
that's all produced.
All right. Number 4, there's never a sewer scope. They never talk about plumbing. And, honestly, when I bought my house, I didn't have a sewer scope because I don't know if the cameras had quite been invented yet. My realtor at the time did not recommend one. And, of course, after we moved in, all our toilets backed up.
Uh-oh.
And so we had someone come and snake it out. Great. 6 months later, same thing. Okay. This kept happening. And so finally I was like, okay, what is going on? And it turned out that the pipe between my house and the city was full of roots. And nobody talked about that. Nobody brought it up. Now it's pretty common. Probably about 60-70% of homes that we inspect, they get a sewer scope, and we provide sewer scopes. All of my guys are trained on how to do sewer scopes. And you're amazed at all the things that we find and all sorts of problems we have with roots and cracked pipes, old pipes that are failing. And so, but on TV, they'll talk about, we're going to spend $100K on a kitchen, but they won't talk about the extra, $300 or whatever it's going to cost to get a sewer scope that could avoid a $20,000 problem.
Right. So it's always important to know what's behind those walls, in the plumbing, things that you can't always see. Yeah, we get the shiny stuff, the shiny brand new kitchens, and those are all fancy and great. They do very well on camera, so they show very well. And they also add value to your home. But what could be a tremendous part of your problem is not knowing the unknowns. And then, of course, when things break. So they don't break today, they're eventually going to break. Homes in LA and the LA County are not new. At least most of them aren't. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. So,
all right. Top 10 reasons buying a house is not like on HGTV. Number 3. Nobody worries about insurance.
Insurance. Yeah. I spend every day talking about homeowners insurance, hazard, fire, and theft insurance, as well as earthquake insurance. No one's worried about it. And you do have different types of insurance where you're purchasing. So here we are in Los Angeles County. Some of us are backed up to closer fire zones than others. But the whole county it's huge. So we're all under a hazard zone and are paying more for those policies.
Yeah. And what's really changed about home inspections in the last year is the home inspection used to just be for the buyer. Mm-hmm. This is just information for you to make an informed decision whether you want to buy the house or not. Now, insurance companies are starting to say, we want to see the inspection. Yeah. Or if you're not going to show us the inspection, we want to get a second inspection. And they will actually maybe potentially deny you insurance based on things that are in the inspection. Zinsco panels. I've got several videos on Zinsco panels on YouTube. It used to just be, you know what, your house has a Zinsco panel. They're known to be dangerous. You should probably change it. Hire an electrician. It'll cost you a couple thousand for your peace of mind. It was more about peace of mind. Now it's, you have a Zinsco panel. Your insurance company will probably deny you insurance unless you change it. And so now we're having to sort of be the bad guy and say, you know, these are things we suggest you do, recommend you do, well, now you kind of have to do it because the insurance company is going to demand it. Same thing with roofs. We get a lot of questions about roofs from insurance companies because they want to make sure that it's not just failing, but it's not going to fail anytime in the near future. So that's really changed a lot in just the last year. The insurance companies are looking for pretty much any reason to deny you insurance or not insure you. And they're going to look at that home inspection report closely. They're going to look at things. And then, as you mentioned, fire zones, certain neighborhoods, it's very difficult to get insurance in. And we've had clients come back to us, say, hey, we need a second inspection on another property. Why didn't you buy the first one? Oh, we love the first one, but we couldn't get insurance on it. So we're moving on.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah, you have to have insurance if you are going to be getting your home financed. That's part of the agreement with your lender. So
yes.
Yeah, it's become a problem. We don't have any solutions yet other than the California state plan, which is California Fair Plan, which is, you know, you get a state coverage to do for just fire. And then you get a DIC, which is a difference in conditions policy for your personal items, kind of like a renter's insurance policy. But those are, in reality, a lot of insurance agents are saying, don't do that. Buy the luxury package, which is going to be more expensive. And I've seen those policies on the condo be like $5,000 a year. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot. A condo should only be maybe $1,000 a year. So the markup is definitely real. And there's, again, no solutions for it at this moment. So
it's ongoing.
Yeah, it's ongoing.
All right. So top 10 reasons buying a house is not like HGTV. Number 2.
All right, number 2.
The lender is rarely shown, usually never even talked about. They don't even put Liz on camera.
I don't know if I'd want to be on camera, but yeah, you know, they don't. It's, and, you know, living in LA, obviously we know reality TV, a lot of the times things are done, you know, before the shoot happens. So many times the transactions already occurred. But the lenders, you know, we're putting forth a lot of work there. You're doing all the due diligence for the banks and for the lenders and the investors. So there's a lot of behind the scenes that definitely goes on. There's all different types of loan programs too.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're watching HGTV and you like the fixer-upper shows, there are loan programs that will help you remodel your home, that finance those improvements. They're called renovation loans. They're available for first-time home buyers. So if you do want to buy an old home, look into renovation lending, because that will build in all those improvement costs and labor for your contractor, where you don't have to pay for it out of pocket. But just a little plug on that is that you do spend more time talking to your lender than anyone else usually in the transaction.
That's what I was saying. Both times I bought a house, I think I talked to the lender far more than I talked to my own real estate agent. What people
sounding board. Yeah.
What people don't know is the underwriter will approve your loan, but they'll put conditions on it.
Mm-hmm.
They give you a list of like 10 things they want you to do to say your loan will be approved. And some of it's just paperwork, like go submit some more bank statements, go get a letter from your employer. Some of them might be things you need to physically do.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're working on that list of conditions to get your loan approved and funded. And so, yeah, you spend a lot of time talking to your lender that they just simply never show on TV.
Yeah, we should be available. We should be around, but in reality, we are in real life, right? So this isn't, this is sort of scripted, but in a reality show, that stuff's already been done, by the time that they shoot. 9 out of 10, they've already purchased that home, escrow's already closed, and now they're doing those reshoots. So, Yep.
All right. So the number one reason why buying a house in reality is different from HGTV is there's never any post-inspection negotiation. We all know in real life, you put an offer on the house at one price.
Yeah.
You go through your home inspection, your pest inspection, maybe there's some other inspections. You also have your loan contingency, which is what we just talked about, going through all the conditions, making sure your loan gets funded. And a lot of times, what happens at the end of all this is the two agents sit down and renegotiate the final price based on all this other information that has come out during the escrow process.
Like your home inspection.
Right? So maybe it's a credit for repairs. Maybe it's something that came up on title report that had to be taken care of. Maybe you didn't quite get the loan for all of the money and you're just a few thousand off. There could be any number of reasons that the listing agent and the buyer's agent are going to sit down and actually renegotiate the contract at the last minute to get it to close.
How about the appraisal comes in low?
Yeah, the appraisal comes in low, so that kind of goes, so you wanted to buy the house for, say, $1 million, and the appraisal came in at $990,000, $10,000 short. Well, where's that extra $10,000 going to come from? Either the buyer has to come up with it, or the seller has to lower the price, or maybe you negotiate and you meet somewhere in the middle. It really depends on circumstances. How badly does the seller want to sell? How badly does the buyer want to buy? There's a lot of renegotiation that goes on between the agents. A lot of times we get to the end of the inspection and people are like, well, what now it happens is like, now take this to your agent, because your agent is going to negotiate with the listing side with everything that we found. And on top of all the things that, have nothing to do with the inspection, such as loan contingencies and appraisals and maybe pest inspections. So there's a lot of renegotiating that goes on. And of course, they never talk about it on TV. They might mention it at the end. Oh, well, we offered this much and we closed at this much, but they never tell you why.
No, they don't. And in this market, we're shooting this in July of 2025. We're at a turning point in LA County in certain price points where it's more of a buyer's market than it is a seller's market, giving the buyers and the buyer's agents more opportunity to negotiate a better deal. Doesn't always mean let's make the seller mad by going way under listing price by making that offer. But it's a part of the transaction. Even if you've listed I'm sorry, even if you've purchased a home that is as is, even it's on, I must not, I must not be able to negotiate anything because it's as is. Nope, that's you're taking your rights away. Actually, at that point, you can still renegotiate items. The seller just may not like it, or they don't have to agree with it.
Right. I that's a good point. Clients will come up to me and say, "Well, our contract says as is, so this is our information." Like, no, all the wording in the California contracts default to as is. And really what they mean as is not every little thing about the house. They just mean you're buying this house on this plot of land as it sits right now.
Yeah.
That still doesn't mean you can't negotiate over small little items or
health and safety stuff. Let's be real, right? So what is actually going on in the market is that buyers are not getting kitchen upgrades on a renegotiation.
No.
That's not happening. But if it is a health and safety issue, then yes, you can come back and ask for seller to repair. And in honesty, I had this conversation with my buyers where it's like, it's the little things that we'll see on the appraisers, on the appraisal report that may throw it off and ask for seller to repair. Like, for example, they're missing carbon monoxide or smoke detectors, and that is a requirement.
Well, that's a state law. That has to be.
Earthquake strapping on a water heater.
That's another state law.
That's another state law. So these things listing agents are aware of, but it may just, it slips for some reason. It slips their visual, when they go to list the house. So when we get it appraised, we're going to look for those things, and our appraiser is going to call it out if it's not done. So those things are not a kitchen upgrade. Like, those things are things that are needed to for lenders to be able to finance and approve the loan.
Right.
Yeah.
But it should be pointed out, not every seller is going to negotiate on everything. It's really up to the individuals.
Yeah.
So that's why I always say, make sure you have a really good agent who can negotiate for you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And the ones that, stick it through the entire process, meaning they're walking their buyers through. And there's a lot of good agents you work with, I know I work with, that it's not just to set it and forget it and, they're on to the next one while the loan's in process and while escrow is still open. They're walking their buyers through every step. And those are good agents. So if that's you, you're a good agent. Give yourself a round of applause. We like you.
Okay, so this has been The Real Estate Equation. I'm Ian with I Am Home Inspections, doing inspections that matter for people who care. 818-298-3405.
All right, and I'm Liz Bushman with Guild Mortgage. I have a new tagline. You want to hear it? Lending with heart, serving with purpose. So we are in Burbank. You can reach me at 818-405-0809. Thanks for watching.
All right, like and subscribe.